waffling on anymore because you don't want to hear me waffling on. You want to hear John read some poetry. So please welcome the JPF Goodman, the JPF Goodman.
Thank you all. Especially Sid. Right, now you'll no doubt be aware that in the past week there's been quite a significant anniversary. It is in fact, or it is, the 30th anniversary of a popular Australian soap opera, Neighbours. Just as we, the ancients, took their myths and poets were inspired by them, so I too took an incident of that programme about a young lad called Zeke. Does anyone remember him?
Yeah.
Yes, he fell in the river and sort of disappeared for a couple of episodes before tragically lost. And so
I remember Mrs. Mangle.
yes, she doesn't appear in this, but we all remember her fondly, and various other characters. But so I wrote a lament for Zeke when he was lost. And here it is, Lament for Zeke from Neighbours. No further explanations needed. Oh, Zeke, though Carl may seek, it seems you've already reached your peak. Your boat sprang a leak. That cruelly rapid Australian river swept you away to who knows where. Zeke, I saw you 5 times a week. You were the show's geeky freak. Someone I could identify with. And now you've gone, a lovely boy, a promising young man, lying down in the bottom of some creek. Maybe gone forever, but you were never real. A beautiful dream of a boy that could never be, doomed to disappear someday, some way. Now we just have a memory of that boy in Neighbours, young Zeke. But I bet you'll be back next week. And now we've seen from Facebook and other places that poets are often, if not inspired, then affected by incidents at their local supermarket. And so here's my one of those, and it's called Busted for Muttering. Okay, so I got to the wrong end of a vegetable aisle at Asda when a formidable young mum blocked the way. I couldn't get past her. With her kid, her pram, and what, for the sake of a rhyme of a narrative, I shall describe as a truculent-looking elderly relative. Perhaps telling her child off for requesting some fruit, or similarly engaged, she stayed obstructing my route, while I stood discreetly by, a model of restraint, tolerating her boorish behaviour with the patience of a saint. Merely remarking, more to myself and to her, take your time, don't worry, I can wait here forever. However, she not only heard what I'd said, but addressed me with that admirable Southampton manner of speaking extremely directly. Just ask if you want me to move, I ain't psychic, she said, aggressively nudging her sidekick. What's the matter? Don't you know what to say? Just ask me politely to get out of the way. Yet somehow I couldn't, and backed away silently. Droll monologue crushed, heart beating violently, exchanging one last, not unsympathetic glance with the child of the woman who'd stopped my advance. Usually accustomed to being ignored, my witty soliloquies prevent my getting bored. But, though I often yearned to share my wit, on this occasion I didn't enjoy it one bit. The woman was right, I had no reason to sneer. She had her business, and I must have looked queer. A miserable old man muttering under his breath, unfit for anything but loneliness and death. If I'd been nicer about it, we may have become friends at the end of the day, instead of which I was left alone and full of shame, with nobody but myself upon whom to heap blame. After that, I tried to keep my thoughts to myself, to remember that muttering aloud shows poor mental health. But still, one cannot help thinking one's thoughts. It seems that people constantly demand observations and retorts, which, when you try to keep them silently in your head, compel you to pull extravagant facial expressions instead. And that's even more aging. So, I think quite rightly, I'll carry on making smart remarks, but really, really quietly. I think there's a moral there for all of us. Okay, and so this one is about other occasions when one might be humbled, and I think perhaps we've all had this experience as poets. It's called The Poet's Nightmare. It was a perfect work that told so much in such a simple way, a perfect summation of what I wanted to say. Nothing true is new, of course, as the truth is eternal, but I thought the way I had expressed it was somewhat original, until on the very same day that I produced this masterpiece, someone showed me the same thing done better, expressing more in fewer words, making my effort seem feeble and trite. It was lovelier than anything I could ever hope to write, soon to be immortalized in an elegant, slim edition, full of equally mysterious and moving verse, read out on the radio, discussed at length and given a prize, its author the new face of poetry, while my stuff languished in a bottom drawer, forgotten by everyone but me, and I was left to wonder, why have I wasted my life? And then I met that poet, all shiny with success, a nice person who gave no cause for bitterness, and was kind enough to read my work and smile and say, "My friend, you do not compose for others or for today. What's in you, what you produce will find its way. One day your voice may be heard by those who need or want to hear it. But each song by man or bird takes flight with beat of heart or wing, and the universe grows a little with each soaring note or word." Okay, and time is okay, I think. So, I'll do this one. Right, now this comes from a lengthy poem I wrote. It's just an extract, and it's a little bit about a woman's position, as seen from a man's point of view. And this is a character in it called Joy. A sunny day in herself, as bright and pretty as air, quick with life and tender, she loved the whole world, and her name was Joy. The world loved her in return, and the love of the world is a heavy weight. It nearly sucked her dry. Joy thought she broke many men's hearts that had been shattered long before. She simply could not mend them. Still too young to know her own soul, and caring for the world around her, she determined to console these hearts. In this way, women's feelings are crushed, and men, dreaming of ruling the roost, play with dangerous toys. With simple generosity, Joy played her games with many men, creating hopes she couldn't satisfy. They gathered round her like hungry babes, and alas, they were not her children, only lost and selfish men. Joy's first beautiful hopes were crushed, and her anger grew and grew, until at last she had the strength to protest. My home is being poisoned and turned into a battleground by men who try to impress me by ripping out their heart and laying it in my hand. I throw down your bloody meat. You won't make meat of me. I have some space around me. It shall be clean and good. I will not tolerate evil, misery, or dirt. They shall not come near me. And if you love me, make peace as I have done. Now Joy's beauty was her own creation, when it should have belonged to the world. but she was still lovely, becoming a palace, elegant and cold, not hard to find, easy to admire, but impossible to enter without favour, boldness, or low cunning. Lucky the few who do not seek such shelter, braving the freedom outside, for palaces are only kept warm by offering up the dead, and when they crumble, they leave an empty space. Joy had built her home, but as soon as she made it secure, she looked outside her window and saw the world was made of glass. Thank you. And in a similarly morbid frame, this poem's called In the Loop. We're all caught in the loop, bound together by love, as much as by the stuff that stops us being free enough, stops us doing what we want to do for those we love. That harmless looking elastic stuff which we almost welcome at first, though it seems so sticky, as it winds round and round, wrapping you round in what feels like warmth, your cover, your uniform, your private joke, your invisible way of being you, till you only see what's bonded by that binding, which you've tried to charm or work or tear your way out of, but can't. Accept it, like it, loathe it, use it. It's the loop that tries to trap us all in its web, the world wide web with its tiny strings that twitch and drag us along this highway of information, the best and worst line of communication. But all we have, it seems, to connect and share and try to help each other. So who wants to be out of a loop? And who is the spider who wove and pulls its strings? Me or you? Us? We're all caught in a loop that feels like a trap but should be an embrace, wide enough to put a smile on everyone's face. Smile at a spider and it will scuttle away. The loop is a toy, the instrument we've each been given to play. Are we okay for the
Yeah.
couple? Several? Right. So briefly then, on the subject of online communications, this is called A Hug Was Virtually All He Wanted. You didn't comment on my comment on your comments. Were my comments on your comments too intense? May I take your lack of comment on my comments as a comment? Or is your comment absence merely sitting on the fence? Perhaps you're not sitting at all now, having better things to do, but silence provokes me when it's this easy to reach you. The password to your love, just a few keystrokes away. Until I find it, I'll be hanging all day. I'm very tempted to, I too have entered that poetry competition, and if you can switch the camera off, so I'm not breaching copyright or anything, I shall read it as a sort of grand climax. The competition invited you to do a poem called 1915 or 2015, and so I did that. 2015. Perhaps 100 years from now, in 2115, we shall be remembered as that brave, lost generation whose lives were marked and sacrificed for not a great global war like the one that 100 years before reaped the finest of 1915, but the lives of this generation are now being taken by the terrible conflicts of 2015, made to give their lives to the realities of the current economic situation in defense of the nation. The nation, the nation, the nation. Is it a national disgrace? Is it egg all over the face of a nation that once held a peculiar grace? Or to extend the boundaries of the sphere of influence of those who were too influential already, too boorish in trumpeting their own in some ways noble version of the values of the nation. However, 2015, in this nation at least, is an election year, one that will be a great test of this nation's mind and spirit. Will it be a wonderful new start when this nation comes out of this wicked spell and finds its presently troubled, naturally much more affable heart? Will the people's choice say this our nation, or must it wallow in the sludge of drudgery, forever trading wounds in a stinging storm of petty debate? Or can this nation be saved before it's too late? The nation, the nation, the nation, is it a national disgrace? Is it egg all over the face of a nation that once held a peculiar grace? Thank you.